I mean, they're already making a lot of money, but they just want more money by treating people like heads. So Adobe were acting the maggot. Shock, surprise by nobody. They announced that they were going to discontinue Adobe Animate. If you're not a customer, we're stopping Adobe Animate from March 1st, 2026. If you're already an existing customer using Adobe Animate, you have a year longer than that. Not just not update it anymore, not just maintenance mode, we're going to discontinue it in a year. So prepare for that. Some animated features, they're not made in a year. They take a couple of years, and then you're saying, oh yeah, we plan to use the software for like a couple of years, and now you've changed the software and we don't have budget to retrain the staff. What are you going to do? Fire all the staff and get a new program? What about all the assets? You know, think about TV shows. Say you have a TV show, you're 2 seasons deep, you want a 3rd season, and you realize halfway through the development of 3rd season, they wanted to cancel Animate. Plus all of your character assets, your backgrounds, everything that you had already made. You can't reuse any of that because you're going to cancel Animate. So you have to recreate all of that again. That's not in the budget, because who cares about animators? Who cares about their customers? Not us. The people who were using it obviously got really pissed off. There are so many professional animators that rely on Adobe Animate, have been using it for decades, and for them to just say, okay, you have 1 year to transfer off maybe your decades of project files into another software because we're going to discontinue this software, not because sales are low, not because it's too expensive to update, to create new features. Nobody's asking for new features. Nobody's asking for new bells and whistles, for lots of reinvestment. They're just like, can you just take our money and let us use the software? Because it's a subscription software. It's not like they can just buy it and then be done with it. So even if you wanted to hand over tons of money to Adobe, they're just like, we don't need it. Screw you guys. And then they got so much backlash that they not only said that, okay, we're not canceling it, we're putting it in maintenance mode and it'll be available indefinitely. I think they just realized if we actually do almost nothing, we can still rake in hundreds of millions of dollars here and avoid a bunch of backlash. So let's just do that instead of canceling the thing. I mean, they could have just talked to somebody. FYI, I used to be an animator myself many years ago, and I did start off using Macromedia Flash 8, which I think, still to this day, I think is the best animation program. The things that you could do in it, you can't really do easily in other things. But then they just kind of killed that version of the program, replaced it with Animate, which was similar, but it's not the same. They're just like, tough shit. We're moving forward, and what are you going to do about it? So I started off using Adobe when I started my animation career. But as the time went on, Adobe just got worse and worse in their practices. There were times where I would work as an animator project to project, so I would need a bunch of software for a few months, and then I wouldn't need it, and then I would need it again. So I wanted to pay monthly. And to go through the process of unsubscribing and then resubscribing was jerky. It was like unnecessarily awful. They wouldn't just like let me unsubscribe with a button on the website. You had to talk to customer service, and I've had more than once talking to customer service where I would tell them flatly I want to unsubscribe after they try and upsell me or extend or whatever, but they would just like leave the chat. Why can I sign up for the thing with a few clicks, but I have to take at least 20 minutes of talking to a customer service person to tell them over and over and over again I want to unsubscribe before they'll let me unsubscribe? And that was their policy. Editor grace, receipts. Okay, so this is the actual complaint from the United States of America against Adobe. That's the basis for the demand for a jury trial. So the bit that I was complaining about is step number 5. Consumers attempting to cancel online are forced to navigate numerous hurdles, including hidden cancellation buttons and multiple unnecessary steps such as pages devoted to password re-entry, retention offers, surveys, and warnings. Consumers attempting to cancel via phone or chat experience dropped calls and chats, significant wait times, and repeated transfers. Adobe uses dedicated retention teams to discourage subscribers who try to cancel. Adobe relies on such obstacles to thwart cancellations and retain subscription revenues, depriving customers of a simple mechanism to cancel as required by law. Even the United States government thinks that they're tools. So they're This is on top of the other stuff. We'll let Philip DeFranco explain.
Basically, when you sign up to a monthly subscription to Adobe software, you're agreeing to a year-long commitment. If you want to break that commitment, you'll get charged an early termination fee or an ETF that can amount to hundreds of dollars.
As long as people's discomfort with changing is higher than their discomfort of being gouged extra money and being treated badly by Adobe, they know people will stay because the math doesn't add up in their head. I mean, I know what it's like to just be like, I'm a wizard, you know, whatever's in my head, keyboard shortcuts, I know how to do it instantly. And then you move over to a new program and it's just like, I can't even move the camera in the direction that I want it to go. This is so unbelievably frustrating. Oh my God. But for me, I saw long-term, you know, all of those instances that are happening today, times that by 10 years or whatever, or more investment into the software, more project files in their ecosystem. It just ties me to this asshole company more and more. And I was like, no, I don't want it. Okay, let's imagine that you are an Animate user and you're in the position where you can move over to a different software. What software are you going to pick? Okay, so really quick, here's my top 3 recommendations for 2D animation software. Number 1, Toon Boom Harmony. It's pretty much industry standard these days. So if you want to be a 2D animator and work in the studios, I'd say learn this. 2, Moho. This is less industry standard, but looks really consumer focused. There's a light and pro version, and the pro version is €300 or so, but at least it's yours, you own it. Number 3, Blender. If you're an independent animator and or hand draw your animation, then I'd really recommend learning Blender. It's an open source 2D and 3D animation program that's frequently updated. I think it just got updated to Blender 5 just a few months ago. I think if you've only ever been using Adobe software your whole career, it's really easy to forget that other quality software exists. But check one of these out and then you can see. If you're investing a lot of your life into Adobe being good to you, that's not a good position to be in, I would say. And try to kind of untangle your projects from Adobe and move over to some other software where they would treat you as a customer, as a user, with a lot more respect. Because it's only a matter of time until they try and screw you over again. They did it with their AI shenanigans.
There is no opt-out or disagree button, and B, you cannot access your content until you agree. They're changing the terms of the sale under duress, and they're not giving you any option to say no, which is why I call this a rapist mentality.
They do it with their cancellation fees.
They hit me with an unsubscription fee. I have to pay to not use your software.
They do it with their making it so difficult to cancel bullshit. And they'll do it again. They'll do it again. Just wait. So if you used to subscribe to Adobe products and then you've moved on to some other software, please leave a comment in the comments below. It just makes me happy to know that there are people that will move away from a company when they realize that that company doesn't have the customer's best interests at heart anymore. Hopefully one day there'll be a tipping point where they'll realize, oh, we done f***ed up and maybe we should have cared about the customer a bit more. And that's never going to happen if everyone just takes it and sticks with the status quo. Well, hopefully that's the end of that story. Ciao.